Hello, everyone. This week, we saw a return of a very interesting feature to the map. The day-night cycle, built into the map and controlled by server scripts, has now been re-added to City 17. For those of you who are new, a little while ago on the old map, Roots had a day-night cycle. This day-night cycle doesn't use an add-on or anything like that. It's actually built into the map itself, and it's controlled by scripts on the server, and so it doesn't have any lag. It's actually incredibly efficient, and it's very nice looking, because the lighting, for example, is hand-painted for the map itself. It's not just a generalized add-on that changes a couple materials in the skybox. This has been a massive improvement to the overall flow of gameplay and the atmosphere on Roots. The day-to-day, no pun intended, is not the same. Now, when you join, it could be day, it could be night, it could be dawn or dusk, but the point is that the flow of time is continuous. There are different types of gameplay now that will emerge from these different times of day. Some are more obvious than others. For example, Civil Protection, having most recently been given night vision, now are very likely to, as the sun begins to set, go back into the armory and choose a new loadout for themselves that includes that night vision, which, by the way, at night, as you see in some of these clips I'm using, looks really cool. It also gives flashlights a lot more value. Before, they were just something that made a noise, and maybe you could go into one of the dark bathrooms or a corner of the canals and see a little bit easier, but there wasn't really a good use for it yet. Now, at certain times of day, certain things are nearly impossible without something like night vision or a flashlight. For example, trying to escape out of the city through the canals. Without any artificial lights present out there, you're going to have a hard time navigating the toxic wastes or dodging the zombies. This also means that certain things that you normally might have gotten caught for, you can get away with in the city. If you're sneaking around at night in a dark area and Civil Protection isn't looking your way or doesn't have their night vision enabled, there's a good chance you could get away with it. If you're smart and you plan your activities around the cycle of day and night, then you can use it to your benefit rather than being a detriment. But aside from the new gameplay that it introduces, the appearance alone, I think, is fantastic. The city at night, lit up by little more than the ambience cast off by the Combine technology, the scanners probing around in the dark with their spotlights, the Civil Protection and OS with their glowing blue eyes. It's very interesting. I think it contributes a lot to the overall feeling of the game. At first, when I made the new map, I was concerned that adding a day-night system might ruin the nice lighting. And over time, as I expanded and optimized certain areas, some of the lighting was already impacted by some of the optimization efforts. However, as I've learned from working on the day-night cycle this week, the impact on the overall appearance of the lighting isn't a net negative. I do believe that it is actually beneficial overall to the appearance of the map. In some areas, it actually fixed the lighting instead of making it worse. That's something that I definitely didn't expect before I went into it, but it is a very welcome surprise. This day-night cycle is considerably longer than the one that we had originally. I want the different periods of day and night to settle in, both atmospherically and for gameplay. I don't want you to start some activity for the night, and by the time you finally start getting into it, the sun is rising. I wanted you to have enough time to really plan something out and engage in some kind of activity during a different time of day without the changing of the cycle interrupting whatever it is that you were doing. This corresponds to changes in the gameplay, of course. For example, the old curfew system that people liked to enforce previously is no longer present. That's not to say that there isn't any negative to being around civil protection at night. They're definitely going to be a lot more cautious and probably push you around a lot more because they are more suspicious of why you're approaching them in the dead of night, as they should be. However, they're not going to be demanding that you go indoors or go to your apartment or anything like that because of how much longer nighttime is. It wouldn't really be very fun to cram the entire server into the apartment building for an hour at a time. In the future, it's likely that this day-night system will have an even greater impact on the world. Things like combine technology turning on and off, and of course certain areas of the world becoming far, far more dangerous at night than they already are now. I also can use a lot of what I have made for the day-night system to make a dynamic weather system, although with many other things of that nature, I don't like to go too far into it until I've actually made some tangible progress. So it's something that I would like to add, and I will mention that. However, no promises just yet. I'm very excited to see how you guys are going to react and adapt to the new day-night cycle on Roots.